Perhaps the only thing as painful and agonizing as going through addiction yourself is watching a loved one struggle with their own battle with alcohol or drugs. It's heartbreaking to watch the person you love spiral out of control. This is especially true when you've already endured the agony of watching them try to recover before another relapse. Perhaps they've already tried rehab or some other form of treatment and were so full of hope, having managed to attain some recovery time. They were looking happier and healthier. You began to get glimpses of the kind, caring person you've always known them to be, only to experience the devastating blow of watching them relapse and push everyone away again. As your hope fell, you may even have felt angry for allowing yourself to get taken in again. After all, you should have realized relapse was inevitable, since you've witnessed it in your own home, heard the broken promises, and felt manipulated by the addictive disease more times than you care to remember. Here's what you need to know. Firstly, it's not your fault. Secondly, you are not alone. Thirdly, there's still hope. There's absolutely always hope. Recovery is always attainable. How do I know? Because I am that relapsing addict whose family had to witness him falling so many times and worrying that I may die at any moment. What could possibly work after everything else has failed previously? What could even be attempted when you think you've extinguished all possibilities already? And what can we do if they don't even want to go to residential rehab? Of course it's crushing to have to stand by, feeling so powerless. But there is a solution. I promise you. My name is Ian Young. I'm the founder of Sober Services. I'm an addict in permanent recovery since 2001 from my own battle with intravenous drug use, chronic alcoholism, and even street homelessness. There was a time many of those close to me feared I wouldn't make it, that they'd have to bury me before I recovered, and I was still in my 20s. During my professional career in addiction treatment since 2005, I've met many thousands of other addicts who, while seeking recovery, repeatedly relapsed as part of their experience. I did it myself. After all, addiction is a relapsing illness. If giving up was easy, then we wouldn't have the word addiction in our vocabulary. So it's important that you know that we do recover from addiction, and outside help is almost certainly required. We do recover, and I've met many thousands of people who were previously considered hopeless cases that can testify to this. In the end, they all reached the point where they were simply sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, which means the motivation led them to finally acknowledge that they needed new strategy to gain their freedom from their debilitating addiction. They accepted they needed to choose a solution that was designed specifically for them, but involved mixing with other addicts who had previously recovered. The idea of a personal recovery plan designed by a sober coach grew as they realized how this type of service could genuinely work for them. When I founded Sober Services back in 2008, after having already created 2 large rehabs, I made a commitment to create unique and bespoke combinations of services so comprehensive that any addict that found their way to us could be given a very real opportunity to achieve long-term recovery with a truly fulfilling life, free from alcohol and drugs. And sadly, I've seen people give up after initial efforts failed, including family members who become despondent or lose hope. And I've seen addicts die as a result of not having the full spectrum of options. Which is exactly why I created the Sober Companion service, also known as Recovery Coaching. A Sober Companion offers the suffering addict the crucial experience, encouragement and companionship after other options, often including residential treatment, have failed. You see, a coach takes the client's dreams and goals and moves them towards a happy and healthy outcome, whereas typical therapy, whilst useful in many circumstances, is looking back at the past and examining what may have failed. Explained simply, sober coaching is forward-facing and solution-focused, celebrating their achievements without dwelling on historical failures. And it makes all the difference. All too often the family members are desperately upset, feeling hurt, frustrated and even angry. And all these feelings are normal. It's at these times that it may be presumed that the addict doesn't care, doesn't appreciate the love, effort and considerable financial investment that seems to have been wasted, or simply doesn't care enough to want recovery. But this simply isn't the case. This is how the addictive disease presents itself. If giving up was easy, then it wouldn't be an addiction. Firstly, no efforts are ever wasted attempts. It's feedback rather than failure. Once someone begins their recovery journey, the overall culmination of efforts over time all plays a part towards the longer goal. Nobody ever knows the significance of every little step forwards and backwards along the way, but in hindsight, all appear to have been necessary. Secondly, the addict's own self-confidence is broken by another apparent failure. They blame themselves, punish themselves, consider themselves worthless, and their self-esteem drops even lower. They usually descend even deeper into their reckless addiction, and many consider suicide. And our experience is that this is precisely the time when they need our love, help and support again, and they're most likely to respond to Sober Companion services delivered by a certified sober coach. The introduction of a professional sober companion in these circumstances has shown itself to be life-saving. You can hire a sober companion for a day, a week, a month, or for as long as it takes. A sober companion works with a client who is willing to engage and actively participate in their recovery by bringing their recovery experience alive in real-life situations and scenarios.
This works where many other treatment activities have failed. We match up your specific requirements with a trained sober companion who can use various complementary tools from many different models of training to prevent a relapse and to lead to long-term happy and healthy recovery. The sober companions are professionally trained and certified, able to diffuse the anxiety that accompanies early recovery and to coach their assignments through the various situations that may have previously caused relapse, whilst teaching new behaviours, new outcomes and new experiences. They are always in long-term recovery themselves, which means that they serve as an appropriate role model or mentor, engaging your loved one in positive recovery activities and showing them how to live free from addiction one day at a time. If you feel that a sober companion might be the answer for your family or colleague, then the appropriate next step is to reach out to us today in full confidence by emailing info@sober-services.com, including your phone number and location. We promise to reply to you within 12 hours, and usually immediately. We're always happy to help. We look forward to working with you and to helping another addict to find long-term recovery from addiction. Reach out today. My team are waiting 7 days a week for your email. Sincerely, Ian Young, founder of Sober Companions for Sober Services Global.